Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and it's good to be back. I haven't done a video like this for a good few weeks now, might even be a month by the time this video goes out, but it's nice to be back, and what a better reason to do another video. For those of you that maybe don't know, the other week I hit 1,000 subscribers. I know that might not sound like a massive milestone, but to me, it's huge. I've been doing this channel since 2015, and I started it purely as a platform to express my thoughts and feelings towards films and to express my love for the medium that is film, and just generally kind of create discussion off of the back of that. And now the fact that we're 8 years down the line and I've just hit a milestone that I genuinely never thought I would hit, it genuinely surprised me. And I cannot thank each and every one of you enough for those of you that have subscribed and have followed my channel over the years. It really means the world to me, everyone who subscribes and comments and likes my video and interacts with the conversations that I want to have with each video that I make. So to celebrate this specific milestone, I put a tweet out a few weeks ago asking you guys what it is I should do on this channel to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, and Josh from the Movie Apprentice YouTube channel, go and check his channel out if you haven't already, it's a really good channel. He suggested doing either a Q&A or just a general video talking about how I got to this point and if there was any advice I could give for anyone looking to get into this specific field. And because I liked his idea so much, I decided to take it and run with it, and I asked all of you guys on YouTube, Twitter and Instagram to send me any question you wanted, whether it be film related or not, and I would answer it in this Q&A. And I got quite a few questions from all different platforms. I didn't get tons, that it means I would kind of be scrolling through tons of questions to try and pick the best ones. I didn't get that many, but I think the questions we do have is enough to make for an interesting video. So without any further ado, let's get into the first one. So the first question is a direct message I got from Instagram. It's not film related, but it's a very straightforward one. What is your favourite band? So for those of you that don't know, as much as I love film, my other main interest and passion is music. I can't play a musical instrument to save my life, but I just find music and all that sort of stuff really interesting and just as fascinating as film. And trying to choose a favourite band is quite tricky because there are quite a few bands out there that at some point in time have been my favourite. For example, when I was a kid going into teenage years, my favourite band was Muse. Then in my later teenage years it was Biffy Clyro, and I would say now my favourite band is either Radiohead or Queens of the Stone Age. The next question is from Sarah from Popcorn Chat. Do you have any Criterion films in your physical media collection? If so, what is your favourite? So if you haven't seen this gigantic wall of Blu-rays behind me, I have quite a few. And I have a fair few Criterions. This entire bit here is Criterion. And choosing a favourite is quite tricky. I've not seen all the Criterions that I own, but the ones I have seen I do love. I have a lot of affection for the Before trilogy. This is probably my favourite box set from the Criterion. The Jacques Demy box set's brilliant as well, but the Before trilogy is great, so this is one of my favourites. Another favourite of mine is Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's my favourite Wes Anderson film. The Criterion release of this film is gorgeous. Both the packaging and the presentation is just beautiful. Here's a good one. Night of the Hunter, a film that I didn't really know much about. It was a bit of a blind buy, and I came away absolutely loving it. If you loved the film The Devil All the Time from 2020, you're going to love this. It's of a similar vibe and tone to that film, but feels a lot more gothic in its cinematography and presentation. I could spend all day talking about the Criterion Blu-rays I have, But those are some of my favourites off the top of my head. So the next question we have is the only one I got from Twitter, and it's from my friend Sawyer, who you might know from some previous videos that we've done together on this channel and on his. And he's asked, how would you rank the 2020s so far with movies? And I think what he means by that is the years we've had so far in 2020, the decade of the 2020s. So this is a bit of a tricky one because we're not far into this decade. But that being said, the years we've had so far have been really impressive. This year is turning out to be incredible because some of the films we've had so far, like Oppenheimer, Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians Volume 3, Barbie, some of the films we've had so far this year have been brilliant, and we've still got half the year to go, and there seems to be some heavy hitters still yet to come, like David Fincher's The Killer, or Dune Part 2. So yeah, 2023 is showing itself to be a really great year. Last year was incredible as well, because you had Everything Everywhere All at Once, After Sun, The Batman, All Quiet on the Western Front. Last year was brilliant. 2021 was okay. We had some really good films like No Way Home, Dune, Mitchells vs. the Machines, Boiling Point, which is a really underrated film if you haven't seen it. I mean, 2021 was good. I suppose the only dud we've had in this decade was 2020, and part of that was due to the pandemic and films being delayed, etc. So I'd probably rank them like this. 2022 at the top, because last year's output of films was incredible, and some of the films that came out last year are just instant classics, like Everything Everywhere All at Once or Top Gun Maverick. Then below that I'd put this year, 2023. The only reason it's not at number one is because I feel like we've still got half the year to go, and some of those heavy hitters might turn out to be duds. I doubt they will, but I'm putting it at second just to be safe. Then I'd go 2021 and then 2020. This next question is from Stu Talks YouTube channel. Again, go and check out his channel. Makes brilliant videos over there. And he has a very similar question to Sawyer's one, which is, what is my favourite decade in film? Bonus question, have you now become a margarita aficionado? In answer to that second question, no. I still need a bit of coercing when it comes to margaritas, because the ones I tried a few weeks ago, when I met up with Stu and a few film guys up in London, was not very nice. It just wasn't. I think they put too much of one ingredient in, and it just it was not pleasant. However, when it comes to my favourite decade in film, that's a bit of a tricky one, because whenever I see that question pop up on Twitter, I always have two decades that immediately spring to mind, that being the 90s and the 70s. The output of films in those two decades were just on another level, because in the 70s, it just felt like filmmakers were starting to take risks, and the stories they were trying to tell with their films were becoming a bit bolder and a bit more experimental and a bit grander. Plus there was just some absolute bangers in the 70s, whether it's Jaws, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Apocalypse Now, Godfather Part 1 and 2. I could spend ages talking about why the 70s is great for film, and go listing every film that's incredible from the 70s, but I'd be here literally all day. And then in the 90s, you kind of got the same thing again that we saw in the 70s. It was a lot of experimentation, a lot of filmmakers coming onto the scene and being experimental, and we got some brilliant films in the 90s. Like, just the output of films we got in that decade alone. You've got that incredible run of films in 1994 that are arguably some of the best films ever made, such as Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump, all coming out in one singular year. But then even later on in the decade, you've got brilliant films like Saving Private Ryan, Fight Club, American Beauty, just to name a few. So, yeah, I can't choose between those two, but I guess those are my answers. The 1970s and the 1990s. Next question is another one from the Instagram messages. Will there be any more episodes of For the Love of Film? Yes. The short answer is yes. There are going to be loads more episodes of that series. I really enjoy doing that series and talking to a variety of different people and as many people as possible. And that's kind of half the reason why I started that series in the first place, was to talk to as many different people as possible about their love of film and our shared love of the medium. But yes, there are going to be more episodes. I've got a few guests already set up in the pipeline. I just need to organise filming their episodes. So yes, short answer, yes, there will definitely be more episodes of For the Love of Film, and I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. The next question is from Michael, who's a friend of mine, and he says, the top 10 movies of the year so far are all sequels or based off franchises, Mario and Barbie, for example. Does this trend worry you? And do you worry about originality being pushed out for the sake of making money? The trend, I mean, initially it didn't worry me with the whole like franchises thing, but with the whole development of the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA strikes, it does become a little bit more worrying, especially with the mindset of the organizations and how they want to take movies forward, and how they're just completely wrong in their motivations, especially considering last year we had some incredible films doing really well, like Everything Everywhere All at Once winning Best Picture and all those Oscars. Whenever something truly original and brilliant comes onto the scene, there's only like a small majority of people that really pick up on it, and it's those devoted film people like myself and probably most of you watching that are aware of it. Like, for example, a film that I still haven't seen yet but really want to is Talk to Me by Raka Raka, who were previously YouTubers. Their new film kind of proves a point that you can be creative and original with your filmmaking and have it be successful. But again, I'm only really seeing the hype around the film from the film community. If you probably talk to anyone outside of that, they probably wouldn't give a shit about the film. It's why last year I was such a big champion for films like Everything Everywhere All at Once, because I wanted as many people as possible to try and see it, not just the film people that were already into the film and wanted to see it. I don't know, it's a bit of a tough one, because every time you get an original idea that does well, it then immediately gets turned into a franchise, and then we're back at square one. So yeah, I do support originality, obviously, as a filmmaker myself, but yeah, I feel like there needs to be a bigger push to support newer and original films when they come out, because a lot of them do get swept under the radar, and it's only every now and then we get someone that breaks through, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. So these final 3 questions are all from my friend Corey, who again has a YouTube channel. Go and check it out, his videos are really good as well. But they are rather chunky questions, so I'm going to tackle them each individually. The first one is, if you successfully made it into the movie industry and were free to write/direct any movie you wanted, budget isn't a concern, what movie would you make? Oh boy. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know what I'd make. It would probably be like a really, in the similar style to like Oppenheimer or Lawrence of Arabia. It would probably be like this big grand scale film about like an individual that has like grand cinematography and in-camera effects. It would probably be something along those lines, or like a grand sci-fi epic that would actually feel epic in scale and not just like a fully green screen thing. I genuinely don't really know. I've never really thought about it. The second question from Corey is, if you could enter any creative field beside filmmaking as a career, whether it be music, playing an instrument, writing, art, graphic design, etc., what would you pick and why? So I have thought about this in recent years because I'm trying to think of what other stuff I'm particularly like good at in term other than videography and filmmaking. And again, it's a really tricky one because I've spent so much of my life honing filmmaking and videography as a specific skill that I don't really know how to do anything else. I mean, that's a bit of an over exaggeration. I know how to do a few other things. I'd like to get into writing a bit more, and not just like the review writing stuff that I already dabble in a little bit already, but I mean more like creative writing, like writing scripts or writing books. One of my ideal things would be to write a comic book or a graphic novel. I can't draw for shit. My drawings of people specifically they're terrible. So I'd probably have to get someone else to do the illustrations. But that is one thing I've always wanted to try and do, because there are some ideas that I have for like a film or a TV show that part of me thinks, actually, I don't think they'd work in that format. I think they'd be better as a comic or a graphic novel. So yeah, that's one thing I'd probably like to do. And the final question from Corey, and also for this video, I told you there weren't that many questions, is, do you think you will ever reach a point where you are satisfied with your Blu-ray collection? If you have a list of movies you want to get before your collection is done, how long would that list be until you stop collecting movies because you own every movie you want to own on Blu-ray? That is a good point. So for those of you that don't know, my mentality for buying Blu-rays, I've been collecting Blu-rays since 2012. So this massive collection you see behind me isn't something that's popped up in like the last few years. It's something I've been building since 2012. So it has a legitimate reason for being as big as it is. So it's taken like over a decade to get to this point, hence why it's as big as it is. And I used to be of the mindset of like, I want to buy every film that everyone's telling me to watch, like all the classics or all the big films. But then I just thought that's just not cost effective, and I'm constantly having to like buy more shelf space to fit more of these films on. So in the last year or so, I've kind of drawn back on that mentality heavily, and I now only keep films that I either want to have, or that I know that I like, or films that I haven't seen yet that I know I will want to watch. But at the moment, I'm pretty satisfied with the collection I have. And any films I do get now are just either films that I'm genuinely intrigued by, or films that I've just had trouble trying to get for ages. For example, I recently bought, it's all the way over there, but it is Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. I prefer Home Alone 2 to the first Home Alone. I love both of them. They're both great films. But I've always preferred Home Alone 2, and trying to find Home Alone 2 on Blu-ray that is Region B for the UK has been near impossible, and it's only in the last like couple weeks that I've actually managed to find it online and get it. So it's films like that that I'm now kind of on the look for, which isn't many. It's just odd films here and there that I've been wanting to get for a while that I haven't been able to get, and I'm just kind of filling in the last few gaps really. So guys, that was my Q&A to celebrate 1,000 subscribers. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support and love over the years. 1,000 subscribers is still crazy to me, and I can't wait to see where this channel is going to go in the future, and hopefully we can get it to 2,000 and 3,000 and many more thousands in the years to come. If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.